Hey everyone, and welcome to the YouTube channel. I am PM Kester, host of How to Take a Break the podcast, and of course, How to Take a Break the YouTube channel. And I have my first actual guest on the YouTube channel, writer Jacqueline Stewart. And we don't like to mince words around here, so I'm gonna jump right into it. I'm going to introduce Jacqueline. Jacqueline is a well-educated woman, a mother, a military spouse. She's from Pineville, Louisiana, and her passion is rooted in writing. As a multi-published writer and a writing coach, Jacqueline plans to continue telling stories and moving people along their journey with inspiration and encouragement. Jacqueline proudly holds a Bachelor of Science degree in liberal arts with a concentration in theater, a minister's license, as well as a certification in life coaching and mental health, which is how I originally met her. She is currently studying for her master's in clinical mental health counseling. Jacqueline, thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be here.
All right, girl, we just gonna hop into it. I just did a brief bio, but give us more information about you. Like, I know I first met you when you were a women's coach, but I know that your career has had a pivot. So just give us a little bit more information about you. What do you want everyone to know a little bit more about your background?
Okay, well, like you said, I am a mother of 2 children. I have a son that is on the autism spectrum. For those of you parents out there that have children with a developmental delay or autism, my daughter also has ADHD. So, it's just coming from every which way, every direction, as far as like mental health and developmental delay with my children. But I always tell parents that their delay is not their destiny. So regardless of what is going on with them, God has a purpose and a plan for their lives. And it's up to us as parents to believe in them no matter what the doctor says about their diagnosis. So yes, I'm a mother and I'm a military spouse. I like you said, I love to encourage people. I love to help people as far as a mental health and support coach, because I know what it's like myself to have gone through a period of, great depression and coming out of that dark place. And even more so, like you were talking about with that pivot in being a writer. But for some people, you may not know this necessarily. It was never a pivot for me. Honestly, I was a writer before I got into mental health.
Oh,
so I
went
to college for theater. Like you said, I went to Northwestern State University. My major was theater. I started with acting and performance and different things like that. And then I really progressed in playwriting. And so my roots in writing began with playwriting. And then I just kind of migrated to writing a web series and then short films. And then lately, in the past couple of years, I've been writing women's fiction books. So that's kind of, and I guess if you want to say in those areas, those have been kind of transitions, because being a playwright is different from writing a web series. A web series is different from writing a short film. And a short film is different from writing a book. So,
So all different things. No, and we're going to touch back on some of that, because it kind of goes into, I think it works well into what we're doing. So if anyone is listening to the podcast, which I hope you are, you know that at the beginning of the year, I started a series called Taking a Break to Start Over. The emphasis is on starting over after age 40, because if you subscribe to the newsletter and you listen to me a lot, I had to start over with a lot of stuff at age 41. Last year saw me having like a big change with jobs, relationships, and things like that. And it got me to thinking about people and our fear of starting over. How do we deal with it? And especially as we get older, because a lot of people, when they get to age 40, that's like the jumping off point. Not to say that you can't jump off at any age. Right. I read a meme that said, it was so funny. It said, y'all be out here scared to start over. Honey, I'm on my 12th life. Like, I didn't start over so many times, but I just focused in on the 40. And so what drew me to you, because I did not know your background.
Mm-hmm.
of the just you having this writing in my blood. And that's so funny because I actually started my career as a journalist. I go on shows and people see me doing a mental health and stuff like that. And I have a master's in public health. And I'm like, I actually started as a writer. I was a journalist at a newspaper in
Yeah.
Mississippi. And it was ingrained. That's actually all I knew of doing. My mom was an English teacher and she taught me how to write. And so I was writing for newspapers and stuff from a young age. So again, things that we don't know. So it's not like a pivot. It was in your blood. But I guess I wanted to talk about just, you talked about going into writing the stories, like these books that you have coming out. How did you know that it was the time to do that? What gave you the courage to make that next step? And if you don't mind me asking, at what age were you when you published that first book?
Well, let me say it like this.
Okay.
Actually, my first books were more of spiritual books. Like you said in that bio, I'm also a licensed minister. So like where I live, most people knew me as the minister and the encourager. And so my books were more spiritual. But the leap in from spiritual books or from that type of talk and encouragement into women's fiction was a huge leap, because now I am really saying some things that people in a religious community may not agree with me saying. So now I'm telling a story where there may be genuine language. You know, when I say genuine language, you know what that means.
Yeah, right.
There may be characters in there where one is a swinger, another one is a fighter, you know, and of course we have the friend that prays, but then we have another that's going through a divorce. And so kind of making that leap, and that was only a couple of years ago, and I was like 37. So right now, to be honest, I'm 39. And there's something that I want to share with you after I finish talking about the leaps with the book. But going from one genre to another one and people seeing you in a certain way, and then you're kind of trying to pivot, it can be scary. And I'm not gonna lie, it was scary for me. But I knew that it's something, it was something on the inside of me, a voice on the inside of me, where I knew that I wanted to tell stories that related to all women of different walks of life. And sometimes when we stay in the box of religion or tradition and how we were raised, we will only reach a small group of people. But when we come out of ourselves and really allow God to use us and take us out of that box, then we can tell stories that really that other women can really connect to. Women outside of church and outside of a spiritual community or outside of religion and all of those things. We can really tell a story that is going to connect with them and just really bring them back to their true selves. And so there was a scary leap. But of course, I started doing that kind of writing more so during COVID. You know, we couldn't get out and do a short film. You know, I had a crew and a cast ready, but I couldn't get out and do that. So I had to find a different avenue. And for me, that was book writing, telling those kind of stories, which, like I said, was scary, but it's something that I knew that I wanted to do and that I had to do. Now, let me tell you this, kind of moving on, we can talk more about the book writing. Let me tell you this. Yesterday, when you sent me the invite to come, you don't really know, I don't want to say the word prophetic, right?
Okay.
But you don't really know the confirmation of your invite was for my life. Because, because you said, okay, we want to talk about what the pivot, right? And to forward and changing careers. And what you didn't know is that even though I'm a writer, my occupation is in the social work field. But right now I'm in the pivot. I'll be 40 in June. I'm pivoting my career as we speak to become a real estate agent. And so you didn't even know that I was making that pivot, right? So I've already taken the pre-licensing course. I've already passed all that stuff. I've already, I've been studying for my exams. I've already talked to a broker. They're ready to have me on their team. I just have, the test to get through, which I'm confident about that. And so I'm actually on the verge of taking another pivot in my career. Of course, continuing with the writing, but moving away from the social work field into something where I can be a little bit more dominant and have control and do what's best for my family financially wise.
Oh my, yes. So yeah, the universe led us together. God led us, because I literally looked at the picture and I was like, well, I wondered. I know I've seen this. We were meant to have this conversation. Look, because one of the questions was, discuss a time in your life when you had to start over in your career. And you're getting ready to start over right now as you get ready to turn 40.
As I get ready to turn 40.
How crazy is that? How did you know it was time to make this change? I know you mentioned like family and money and stuff like that, but I tell everybody, and I ask this because I really do feel that once you turn 40, once you turn 40, it's really like, I felt a difference in my whole being when I turned 40. I felt like change was coming.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tap into it at age 40. I mean, in age 40 was such a crazy year. It's like all this chaotic growth stuff was happening. In 41, it was like this calm and this peace. And it's like, oh, you're going to make changes. It's going to be okay. So how are you feeling walking into 40? How did you know that it was the time? Did you feel something different?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. This is what I believe when you know that it's time, when people know that it's time. Because where you at, you can feel that it no longer serves you.
Oh, yeah.
You begin to get in a place of anxiety and depression, and you feel all of this pressure on you, this negative pressure. And for me, there was an instance where it was a day where I was just feeling like depressed and heavy. And I felt God was telling me, he was saying, Jackie, rest. I want you to evaluate the way that you feel right now, because there's a reason why you're feeling the way that you feel. And so I just rested that day and I began to evaluate, the reason why I was feeling depressed. And I felt like he was telling me, you're feeling like that because it's time for change. It's time for you to move from where you are to something else. It's time for you to get out of that place. You've already been there too long. And the longer you stay, you're going to keep having these feelings. And so it when you feel that depression and that anxiety and that pressure, and that where you are is no longer serving you. You're not happy being there. You're frustrated. You're not motivated while you're there. You're not feeling that vibe anymore, So to me, that was God saying, it's time for you to move on. You've been there long enough. That place served you when it was time to serve you, but now it no longer serves you. It's time for you to grow, personally, spiritually, physically, financially, and you cannot do that staying in that place. And so that's when I knew that it was time for me to pivot and change. And so, it's not crazy, that I'm making that change, but while I'm, embarking on the age of 40, I believe that it's very necessary. And you know what? I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of the change. And I think that's another sign of you knowing that it's time to change, that it's time to pivot, because you're not really overly afraid. Now, you may be nervous a little bit, but there's a peace and there's no fear, and you have a readiness, and you know that you can dominate. So, yeah.
Oh, you dropped so many gems. I love that. Because you are describing exactly what I went through at 40. And I told people, I said, my life felt like it was in chaos.
Yep.
And I said, I had never had anxiety before. And I was in the throes. I had to start going to therapy again. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. And then once I embraced the change and the stuff and made the leaps, peace washed over. So And I think that's my next question to you. So, of course, I'm talking a lot about 40. That's when I had this change. That's when I think a lot of us, especially women, face these changes in our life. When we hit 40, 40 is that time. I was reading some statistics about those being the highest earning years for a lot of women. So if you're going to make a move in your career, that's the time to go and make that move, because you're at the top of the ladder financially. But I'm also concerned because I have a 20-something-year-old daughter. I work with a lot of younger women in their 20s and their 30s and things like that. And they have such anxiety, such fear surrounding change. What advice would you give someone that is dealing with fear of change, especially in the career sector?
I think when we fear change, it's because we don't know our purpose.
Ooh.
So our purpose is always to evolve and to become the woman that God has created us to be, to become that person of authority and power, that person that can dominate the field of whatever the field is that God has called us to. So when we're not aware of our purpose, then we're fearful of change. And maybe that's what it is with a lot of women. We've spent so much time pouring into our children. We've spent so much time pouring into our spouses or our boyfriends, our, whoever we're with. Yep. We've spent so much time nurturing other people, but we haven't nurtured ourselves. And so we forget that we have a purpose too. And so maybe in the midst of us pouring into everybody else, we've lost ourselves. And so that is where, and when we lose ourselves, we lose our confidence. And so that's where their fear comes, because we lack confidence. I'll say for me, my daughter is 11, my son is 8. They'll be 9 and 12 this year. And so a lot of me not stepping out into the way that I wanted to step out was because of my children. But now they're older. And I have been training them. I told them, I say, look, you guys, mom, even my husband, I say, once I get in this real estate game, I'm not playing. I'm not, you guys are not going to I'm not going to be as available to you. See, right now, the job I have is flexible.
So you're always there.
I'm always there. I can, if the school calls me, I can run up to the school, or if my husband needs something, I can go run and do it. I said, but once I pivot, once I change into this new career, you're not going to have that access to me that you have, so I've trained them. I'm letting them know, look, and even my son, even though he's autistic, he's very well capable of doing a lot of things himself, even my daughter, and so, I've already told them, be prepared for the change. But I think a lot of us fear because, it could be because we're still trying to manage our kids, our relationships, all those things. But it's important that we put people on notice. Hey, my life is about to change.
I love it.
Y'all got to get ready, and I'm not going to be as accessible. I'm not going to be flexible the way that you're used to me being flexible. But in the end, it's going to pay off.
I like that. Oh, my goodness. That's right. You are fearful because you're not connected to your purpose. You don't know your purpose. And it's time to put people on notice and just step out. Ooh, that was good. I hope y'all hear that and receive that, because I know I did. Look, and I'm walking in mine. Yes, I love that. So one thing that I do on the podcast and I want to bring over to here is that I talk about intention. I put each year I have an intention for the year, a word for the year. This is my year of rebirth. And it's so funny. You talked about confidence. I started off the year with a 30-day confidence challenge because I said I need to build myself up for all the stuff that I feel is getting ready to happen this year. I want to make sure I'm standing tall and walking in what I'm supposed to be walking in and having that confidence. So I kicked off the rebirth year with that. Do you have an intention for this year or a word for this year?
Well, my intention is to dream big. Dream big so I can do big. You know what I'm saying? So that's my, I know that's more than one word. But
no, I love it.
Phrase.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh man, that is good. Y'all always give me, every time I interview people, they give me such good stuff. I'm like, man, look, God is talking to everybody out here with these words and intentions. I like that. Dream big. Yes. Well, So we've talked about your writing, we've talked about your coaching. Where can people find you online? So in case they want to check out the books or they want to connect with you, because you offer services as well. And
Yes, yeah,
she's
yeah, y'all
also
can.
getting ready to be in real estate soon. So y'all might need to go check that out in Louisiana.
Yes,
So so
yes. And
give us
once I get
info.
right, so once I get everything situated with real estate, of course, I'll be putting up. I'll start with those kind of social media pages and stuff like that. But for right now, as a writer and an author, you can find me at writer JN Stewart on Instagram, Twitter. If you're on LinkedIn, you can find me there as well. If you want to reach out to me via email, you can email me at writerjnstewart@gmail.com.
Awesome. All right, everybody. I'm going to put all of that information in the notes at this story. If you liked what you saw, leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe. Until next time, find a little time to take a break. Bye.